Okay, so let's break down this kind of soul, soft rock, 70s R&B type of song. First of all, the song is in 6/8, so it's not 4/4 time, it's 6/8, and you kind of count that as 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 1, 4, 5, 6. You notice I'm emphasizing the 4 there, and that is going to come in handy when we get to one of the guitar parts, because we're going to do some chugs on that. And the song is very simple. It's just 2 chords. It's a C to a D minor 7. Now for guitar part 1, it does something that's kind of a lost art these days, where you're actually going to outline the chord changes by playing almost like a bass line, if you will, or some sort of melody notes that kind of tie the whole thing together. Here's what I mean. Kind of starts off like this. And all that we're doing here is we're just starting on G, the 5th, walking up to the C root on the first downbeat to indicate that that's our 1 chord. You can hear the chord changes. Now I'm on the D minor 7. Back to the C. So this is just a nice little way to kind of outline the chord changes again with a simple guitar part. Just add some character to the song. And when the melody kind of kicks into, like, I'm going to call it maybe the verse or so, when there's more of a melodic solo line on top, it's going to basically go to a famous arpeggio type of style of playing. So all that we're doing there is just playing basic chord shapes, your power chords for C and D minor 7. If you're not sure how to get to a D minor 7, play your D minor chord here, your D minor bar chord, and just lift up your pinky. And that's going to expose the 7th, the C, that's underneath. And it's going to go right back into that part again. Now, for guitar part 2, I basically switched to the middle position. And this is something that you can do when you're recording. Let's say you have multiple guitar parts, but you only have one guitar that you're kind of working with. Mess around with the tone knobs and also your pickup selections to give those guitars different EQ values, different sonic curves, if you will, inside of the mix. This will help you to kind of separate them later on when you are actually going to mix the song. And for this guitar part, we're basically going to start with a big C chord here, but we don't need all that muddiness up top, so we're just going to use the top half, the top 3 strings, to play a C triad here, which is the notes we're playing, E, G, and C. The C major triad is C, E, G. And the D minor is just up, but it's flat, it's a cross, and this is coming from that D minor chord here. So I'm just using the top half again, just the top 3 strings. And this is really kind of tricky because it's a slower pace, and all I'm kind of outlining is just those 8th notes in the rhythm. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now here's what it does that's kind of interesting, and something that you can use in your own music. You know, we have this line. It's kind of like a melodic hook, if you will, for the listener. It's something they can hum and they pick up on. Well, try to echo that in some of your other guitar parts. You'll notice I'll start on the C. When I go to the D minor, you see I'm outlining the same thing here with the E, D, C, D, back to the C chord here. So all I'm doing is imitating what I'm hearing in the bass line. Now when the guitar part or the song actually goes into the next section where there's more of that lead line, we're just going to do our classic stabs on the 4. 1, 2, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 5, 6, 1, 2, 4, 5, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. And you'll notice I sit out a whole measure, so I'm only emphasizing it, the chord change. 4, 5, 6, 1, 5, 6, 1. So all I'm doing here basically is just playing the top halves of those chord shapes again, and I'm just striking up though. To me it has a little bit of a different stab sound than going down. That's down, here's up. Sounds a little brighter to me. And when I played after the D minor, I'm actually going to go and use this C shape up here. It's kind of from your D chord shape, but it's up here. Because here's my notes, C, E, and G. Same thing as this C minor, this C major chord. It's just a different inversion. It has now the third in top, so it's called a second inversion. And I'm just using this shape. So there's basically just 3 shapes that I'm using, but there's only 2 chords still. So I'm doing the stab on the C like this, the stab on the D minor like this, and the last stab on the C like this. It just adds a little bit of a different character to that voicing or that guitar part. Now, the main guitar part, basically I'm going to call kind of the lead thing, starts off with a very classic technique that they use in this style of music, and that's sixth. So I'm going to start up here. Remember that shape that we just learned from our second guitar part? That C chord? I'm going to use just the G string and the E string. And I'm actually playing G and E, which again we know now is part of the C chord. But they're a sixth apart. How do I know that? Well, if I count G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's why they're called sixths. And I'm just going to move the shape through that same pattern that you saw in the last guitar part. But I'm gonna, I guess, finger pick them and make them a little bit more predominant. And there's a very classic move, a simple slide, and then pick up the next note. But these are the same chords. This is C, D minor, to that C shape here, back to the D minor. So I'm just kind of walking in between those chords. And this is a great move that you can do just to add some movement inside of the actual chord changes. Now what do you notice there? Again, I'm picking up on that melodic line, that ear candy, but I'm now doing it, outlining it in 6. When it comes to the time for the, I'm going to call it a verse, I kind of want it to sound more melodic, more like a voice singing. We're going to go into this part. So all I'm doing there is just I'm making a very simple melody line out of a C major scale. And if you notice what I'm doing here, for me, the guitar sounds more like a vocalist if you stay or try to stay your melody line on one string. You notice all of those notes were on the same B string. To me, again, it just adds more of a consistency to the tone of the song, of the melody that I'm playing. And I start off with a slide. And then I'm going to play the same melody line again, but I'm going to add a little bit of a different ending. Here comes a different ending. I'm doing there is I'm outlining a C chord again. So you'll notice, and on a C, I slide up to the E, hit the G, and then I'm going to slide up to a G and hit the C. So all those are from those same shapes that we already learned. So once you kind of get familiar with these little triad shapes that are all around kind of the neck here, you really can tie them together with your notes. And to end the song out, we're going to go right back into that line. The 6. And you can add a little bit of embellishments if you want on some of these parts, just to bring them out and stand them out a little bit more towards the end of the song. So that's really it. That's the entire song, all the guitar parts there. So things to take away, things to learn and practice. Well, if you have a very simple song, 2 chords maybe, or whatever it is, try to see if you can have a guitar part that's really just more of outlining the chord progression. Add a very classic arpeggio part. Add some stabs. And then of course add a nice little melody line. So you can take a very basic song, a 2-chord song, and have all these different contrasting guitar parts that really make it sound interesting and keeps it very lively for the listener. There's always something to pick up on and listen to. It's not just a very basic back and forth type of thing. There's a lot of movement with your guitar parts, some parts that stand out with the stabs, and just some basic pretty arpeggiated parts just to kind of keep motion inside of your music. So as always, in the description down below, I offer these tracks for free for you to practice to. You can download them. There's actually 2 tracks. The first one will be the full band, so you can actually learn these actual guitar parts and play along. And the second one's going to be just the bass, the drums, the organ, and the piano in this one. So you can kind of come up with your own guitar parts. Have fun and enjoy making 70s soul R&B rock. If that's even